The following podcast is a presentation of Project Entertainment Network.
Welcome to the Sample Chapter Podcast, the show where authors read a sample chapter from one of their books. Here's your host, Jason A. Meiske.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to episode 109 of the Sample Chapter Podcast. Hey, thank you so much to all of my wonderful, wonderful listeners from all over the world who are tuning in week after week. And you know what? If this is your first time hearing the show, allow me to offer you the warmest of welcomes. And I hope that you, like our other listeners, are finding tons of great new authors like today's guests and books that you can add to your library. Don't forget that whenever you do find a book that you enjoy, always leave a review on what you thought of that book. Regardless of whether this is your first time or your 100th time listening to the show, I want to invite you all to please follow along on Facebook and Twitter. Of course, if you're following us on Facebook, then you get to see a little bit of behind-the-scenes videos that I've been posting there here recently. Those are a lot of fun to do, and we'll see how often I do some more of that. But we are also on Twitter, and I post there an awful lot, share every episode up on that as well. Don't forget to also subscribe on your favorite podcast player, be that Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google, countless others, including YouTube. And if you'd like to reach out to me personally, drop me a line at samplechapterpodcast@gmail.com. I've got some exciting news. So, last week I was mentioning the upcoming Planet Comicon event where I'm going to be one of the panelists in the panel for creator-owned content. And my buddy Joey Mills of Pop Goes the Culture Network, unfortunately something has come up and he's had to drop out. And he'll actually will be doing another panel is what's happening. He got double booked. And I'm stunned. I'm still stunned and totally flattered. I was asked to step in and take over the reins for that panel. So I get to be the lead person on for the panel now. It's now my show. And I like I said, I'm flabbergasted. I'm very excited, and I hope to see you there. As I was saying, this is the creator-owned content panel. We're still going to have the host from the bungalow and a few other to-be-announced guests that are going to be stepping in to help fill in some of the empty space. But it's going to be a great time. We're going to have a wonderful talk about those of us who are authors, podcasters, comic book creators, maybe YouTubers, anything at all. If you're some kind of a content creator, this is the panel for you on how to present that information to the world, how to market it out there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a good time. Along with that, I'm pretty excited too because they just like a couple days ago announced that Jim Butcher and Claudia Gray are also going to be guests at the Planet Comicon this year. So I'm going to be hitting them up to come on the show. I've actually reached out to Jim a couple of times. He's been a frequent request from people. Being here in Missouri, of course, lots of people want to hear Jim. And so far, I actually did hear back that his schedule's pretty busy, and so politely declined. But we'll see. I'm gonna try and pin him down and see if we can get him on the show, and Claudia as well. That'll be exciting to have either one or maybe both of them on a future episode. Another exciting bit about today's episode is that this particular episode is sponsored by Podcorn. We have another sponsor for today, a new one, and they are responsible for this episode. It's a great service, and you're going to hear about them here in just a moment when that spot comes up. But yeah, I highly recommend if you are a podcaster, stay tuned for that advertisement because Podcorn is a fantastic service, and I can't wait to share it with you. As far as my writing goes, I am feverishly finishing the edits on Novel Idea. I'm still shooting to have the pre-order ready in time for Planet Comicon. The book itself may not be done yet, but that's okay, because as long as it's done by April 1st, that's what I'm shooting for. Actually, I'm not too worried about the pre-order, but having the book ready by April 1st, that's what's got me, nervous. But, we'll see what happens. I think I can do it. I think I'll have it ready, and tune in here. I will keep you posted. Well, let's kick things off. First things first, I want to thank our longtime sponsor, U-Stor-All. They have been with us from the very beginning. And if you are in the market for self-storage in the Warrensburg, Missouri area, look no further than U-Stor-All. With 2 facilities, completely fenced in and gated access, you'll have your own private gate code, more than 60 cameras recording 24 hours a day, LED lighting, and climate control offered at both locations. You can't find a better place to store. Take a look in the show notes for the link or pull them up online at U-Stor-All.net. And that's spelled the letter U, STORALL.net. We have another sponsor that's been with us for about a year now, Scrivener Writing Software. I talk about them all the time. I use their service every day with my writing, and I know you should too. Not going to talk too much about it because I have their regular spot coming up, but stay tuned for that. I love Scrivener. That's all I can say. I love it. And I already mentioned it a minute ago, Joey Mills of Pop Goes the Culture Network. They are a fantastic network that I'm really happy to be a part of. Been with them for about a year now. Pop Goes the Culture is the place to go for all of your pop culture news, blogs, reviews, and a bunch of wonderful podcasts over there. They're starting to add a few new shows, which is really exciting for Joey and the group. I listen to a bunch of them from there, so make sure you also click the links in the show notes for Pop Goes the Culture Network and check out what they have to offer. And of course, Project Entertainment Network, our other network that this show is a part of, run by horror author Armand Rosamilia. Armand has put together quite the collection of shows with more than 20 podcasts now in the network, and I think he's adding more to it. I think he's growing. I think he might actually have a goal of 30 or more. I mentioned before that I listen to a lot of those as well. I think over the years I've listened to a good 2/3 or more of the shows on Project Entertainment. But it's incredible shows, just like this one.
Every person's story has something to teach us. How others view life, how obstacles are overcome, how joy is felt, how fears are faced, how love is expressed. The Matters of Faith podcast explores individual stories of people's lives and how faith plays a part. It may not be your story, but it may help shape yours.
The Matters of Faith podcast with Jay Wilburn is on Project Entertainment Network.
All right, our return guests this week, none other than the And We Thought ladies, Jade Dee and Wilnona Marie. That's right, they joined us back in June of 2018, and they are back with an all-new collection. It's the If Only I Were Me, and the Thoughtful Collection's wonderful stuff. Oh my gosh, and you are in for a treat. I believe it was 3 new poems that they read in this sample chapter, and it's just such good stuff. And the talk, we had so much fun. I laughed and laughed just listening to how much we were laughing in the episode when I went back and was editing. It's a teeth-chattering episode, as it was recorded back in February, and it was cold both where they are in North Carolina and here in Missouri at that time. It was a very cold day. But we also talk about the importance of vitamin D, identifying who you are to you, and, what do others see? Are you being you, or are you being who you want yourself to be? They give us the story behind 2 of their favorite poems from the book, and also bring up the dangers of 4 roses and the ever-present 20-burner stove. That and so much more coming up after a word from our sponsors. This episode is sponsored by Podcorn, the online service that brings podcasters and sponsors together. So, a short while ago, I was having a chat with a podcast friend of mine when he mentioned this new service, Podcorn. I laughed. What is that? He smiled back at me and said, Podcorn is an online marketplace for connecting podcasters like us to incredible sponsorship opportunities. You just create an account and start scrolling through lists of potential new sponsors. It's easy, it's transparent, and we still have full control of how and when we monetize our shows. So I decided to take his advice and try it out for myself. And you know what? It really was that simple. Plus, it was a lot of fun searching through the variety of sponsors available on Podcorn. So what are you waiting for? Click the Podcorn link in the show notes to sign up and, just like I did, find your next sponsor today. Jason here. Hey, I wanted to take a moment and tell you about my favorite writing tool, Scrivener. Now, I know you've heard about Scrivener because their writing software has been embraced by hundreds of thousands of other writers like you and I, from the novice to best-selling novelists. The reason we all use it is because of Scrivener's core concept to bring all the writing tools you use together in a single application. And with tools like automatic backup, character maps, project goals, and let's not forget that amazing corkboard, you can see why I use Scrivener every day. As a bonus for Sample Chapter Podcast listeners, use code CHAPTER for 20% off your desktop version. Scrivener writing software, built by writers for writers. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Sample Chapter Podcast. Hey, 2020, that intones perfect vision. What's been really fun about this year and the idea of 2020 is it's giving me some clarity looking back on my first 2 years as a podcaster. And for the third time this year, I'm getting to have a wonderful return guest. This week, we have the And I Thought ladies, the writing duo of Jade Dee and Wilnona Marie. It's been since June of 2018 that they were here last. Ladies, welcome back.
Thank you for having us back. And then June 2018, wow, it seems like yesterday. I must be getting old. This is Jade.
This is Wilnona. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, it was just last year. Oh, no, we have a lot to talk about then.
Yeah, that was a year and a half ago. And the weather's a little different because last time I remember it was like 98 degrees and I had been mowing the yard. And then I thought, oh, yeah, now I'm all hot and sweaty. I got to run inside and stop because I got this interview coming up with these incredible ladies. And now I'm in my garage with a space heater trying to stay warm. It's cold outside. I think it's 32 degrees and very different from June.
It's 33 degrees here. And now that you've mentioned the space heater, I'm about to cut it on.
I know. I was say, the office about to get real toasty.
So thank you so much for saying space heater. Did you find it, Jade?
It's on. It's on.
Hard to do an interview with chattering bones and chattering teeth. If you teach it, you can't do it.
Oh, yes. I've been there a few times myself. But it makes for great radio or podcasting, however you want to say it. Well, how are you all? It's been a year and a half. How are you doing?
Well, I mean, we're hanging in there, right? Because that's the only way to hang.
This is Wilnona. I think we finally took some time out to rest, so I think we're doing great now.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah.
And much deserved. I know I see your all's posts coming up about one event or another, your awards, the magazine, the show. Oh my gosh, how do you all do it?
Lots of coffee and vitamins.
This is Wilnona. We recently, when we did the Las Vegas Awards, our assistant, who is 20 years old, asked us, how do you guys...
He's not 20?
He's 20. Oh, no, he's 22.
Over 21.
Yeah.
He was drinking.
22. He's 22. Yeah, he was legally drinking. That better not have been a fake ID. I'm going to be mad if it were. I didn't check. I was Anyway, not important. So he was like, how are you guys getting up and going out for the third night in a row? And I said, what, you can't do this? And he was like, no, I got to go to my room. I'm tired. I was like, oh, this is pathetic. So pathetic. They don't make them like they used to, but we figured it out. It's a lot of vitamin B.
Vitamin D. All right, I'm writing that down. I'm gonna use that because I've got conventions I go to. And I'm trying to keep up with the younger people as well, and that's a good secret. I will use that.
Yeah, vitamin B, and it helps you out a lot. Love it.
Well, so the when you were here last, we were talking about the Misfit Guide, cocktails, soiree, and the Little Back Dress, or otherwise known as the LBD. How did that book go for you?
It went fine. I mean, this is Jade, and it's just a fun book. It was a fun book to write. It was fun to remember the crazy things we used to do.
This is Wilnona. I liked it because, I mean, where else do you find a life guide book with cocktails? And now I just want to do a cocktail recipe book. I really, really do.
I don't think we have enough. I don't think
That's right. I think you were going to work on that last time.
Yeah, and then it was like, oh, we moved that to the back burner, and then it got to the back of the back. I guess we have like a 20 range stove at our houses or something, because I think it's back there on the back of the back burner.
Such is life. There's so many things that we plan to do. Just like me becoming a writer, it wasn't until I was 47 before my first book came out, and I'd been writing off and on most of my adult life. But you finally reach that point where you finally reach for the dream and try to do what you always wanted to do. And for, like we were talking before the show, things start to happen finally when you're doing what makes you happy, and that's certainly the case with you ladies.
I think things happen slower when you're doing something that makes you happy, because you want to get to the top and you want to be there already. And it's like feels like things take forever. But when you're doing something miserable, it feels like you keep moving forward. Because you don't want to. You feel like, I don't want to move forward. And you just keep on going forward.
Well, no, I think that's just you being yourself. Maybe I don't notice it. Maybe I don't notice it because, like, I only notice it when I'm miserable, that I'm moving up.
Well, so I know you've been working really hard with the magazine. Tell us about the magazine, and how often does that come out?
So this is the magazine. We're doing the 25 hottest indie authors, artists, and advocates. And this is 2020, which is kind of interesting because it was like the third year of this magazine. It's been a very interesting ride, and in 2020 you will see that we have evolved in doing some other things and how we evolved our thinking on what a creative is. Because before we were thinking, like to be a creative, be an artist, that means like you sing and you dance and you paint, and then we just recognized actually it's bigger than that. Because if you've ever talked to a person that owns like a winery, then they start talking about how they mix the grapes and what's going on. You recognize that that's their form of art. And then you start talking to like people that do different things, and you recognize that's their form of art. So we come to accept that our form of art was very small, and so we've opened it up to more people.
Oh.
So this is Wilnona. This year is the first year we have a restaurant and a winery and a few other different people, like an entrepreneur and that sort of stuff, that are being featured in the magazine. It's not just authors and actors and singers this year.
Okay, and now remind me the name of the magazine.
This is Jade. This is the 25 hottest indie authors, artists, and advocates. And we put the advocates in there because there are a lot of great organizations that are out here doing a lot of great things and just flying under the radar. And so we wanted to bring light to those people too.
That's great. And I think that's a really special thing that you're doing, because it's identifying things outside of, your regular celebrities, identifying the person down the road that's doing this thing on a daily basis. Like you said, it is an art. It is something that they do that's special, and it's affecting people. And that's awesome that you are recognizing them, giving them that moment of, sunshine in their life.
I'm not quite sure if you call it sunshine. I think you would call it a vitamin D lamp or a sun lamp. Yeah, maybe that.
Maybe just like a flashlight with a really powerful bulb.
Oh, I go with that.
I don't know if it's not such a big magazine, but we wanted people to know that and then we actually take recommendations. So it's not us just picking these people. There are other people that email us throughout the year.
Oh,
and
okay.
so we want people to know, look, you might not think you're impacting someone, but you have impacted someone enough that they gave me an email and said, hey, you need to have this person in your magazine.
Yeah.
And this is well known, and of course they have to go through the process. They have to get interviewed by us and that sort of thing. And then we kind of follow their career throughout the year. And if we like it, we put it toward the board, and if the board likes it, then on it goes to the list.
That's great. To kind of throw it back to what we were talking about before, it's like you're pulling back the curtain and turning on the light. You're showing the person who's making things happen behind the scenes.
Exactly. That's one of our favorite things to do, is find someone behind the scenes and be like, yeah, we see you. You did a really good job.
That's great.
Mostly
That's great.
Behind the scenes. That's probably why.
No, I don't think it's because we're stuck behind the scenes, Wilnona. I think that it's just, I don't think a lot of people go about their job and they're just like, well, I'm doing this because this is what I want to do, and they just go about it. They don't know how great they really are.
Well, see, and that's where I'm thrilled to get to have you on the show as a return guest, because it's my little bit that I get to do to put some attention on you ladies, because clearly you're doing a lot of good work and recognizing other people, and by all means, you need to have a moment in the sun for yourselves, and I understand you need to get some rest.
Yeah, well, rest. It's something that needs to happen all the time, but it doesn't always happen.
This is Wilnona. We recently found out that exhaustion is not an excuse, it's a reason. It felt really weird because I think I got old.
Yeah, we are busy. We've been doing so many things at once, and I think it was just like we hit the wall, like boom. Oh, okay. I think I'm exhausted. Not even 7 cups of coffee is gonna save this. Okay, interesting.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's a real thing. It'll sneak up on you and knock you on your booty if you're not careful. Yeah, you got to take some time for you.
Yeah, so we did that. So that was fun.
It was not fun. She's lying. It was not fun at all.
I bet.
But I think it was different.
It was restful. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear you got some rest, and I hope you're both are feeling better real soon and getting back at it. I know, like we said, you've been really busy with the magazine, the awards, your podcast, even book conventions. Oh my gosh! And so the writing has taken a little bit of a backseat up until recently with your latest book, If Only I Were Me, and the Thoughtful Collections. So tell us about this new book.
Jade, do you want to start or you want me to start?
You can do it. I'm laughing.
All right, so Thoughtful Collections is Jade's baby, which actually came from Jade's father's head. He was like, no, we need that book. And I was like, we do? Okay, if you say so. When someone's older than you, you don't really fight. If Only I Were Me came from my head, because I woke up one morning and I was just really, really sad, mostly because I had to rest, and there was so much I wanted to get done, and I just did not feel like me. And I said, if only I were me. And Jade's like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, I'm not me right now, but if I were me right now, I'd be enjoying life. And then I thought about it, and I was like, this should be a book. This should be a reflection of kind of like looking at who you want to be.
Or who the world thinks you are.
Or who the world thinks you are. Yeah, who the world thinks you are, and recognizing who you are.
Two different people. They're two different people.
Yeah.
And then trying to come to this peace with both.
Well, that's, and this new world that we have with social media and online presence, that's a huge thing. There's how everybody else is viewing us, what we're putting out there on social media, how I am on this show versus maybe how I am in person may not be the same thing. So that's fascinating.
Yeah, when she told me, she was like, if only I were me. And she kept saying it, and we got to write about that, because how we see ourselves and how other people see ourselves are two different selves. So it was a very interesting time.
And this is Wilnona, so I'm going to tell the sad little story that goes behind it. Just a little, it's a little one. And so in 2019, we had a very interesting year where we found out a lot of people we thought were going to have our backs for forever were the people that ended up harming our career. So getting over that and finding yourself again and your joy was a bit odd. It's the first time I really had to do it in my life. So that's another reason I was like, if only I were me, if only I was the person before who had all the hope and believed in all the people and still had all that trust, that would have been great. But since I'm not, I have to find that balance. I got to find a new person that can still do both.
Wow. Okay.
I tell you, it got so bad, we're giving gifts to everybody who didn't stab us in the back in 2019.
Oh my goodness. But still, I mean, this is deep. I mean, that's a real question. That's the kind that you look in the mirror and say that. And I think that's important for everybody to do once in a while. If only I were me, and am I being me?
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is Jane. Yeah, that was really important to us because we're like, are we being the people that we want to be? Like the people that we can look in the mirror and say, okay, this happened. That's fine. Let's move on, and let's not be cynical or whatever people are trying to make you into. Let's be authentic, us.
So I'm hoping we're still bouncy and everything, right? We're still the authentic us. No, I'm joking.
Oh, now is this is a collection again? Is it all poetry?
Yeah, this one is all poetry. If only I were me. Yeah, I'm only laughing because there's like this one poem in here that Wilnona wrote about me, but we'll discuss that later.
If Only I Were Me was actually written mostly by the two of us. I think Scarlett joined us for one thing, and that was just about it. So this is our first book where it's just like mostly the two of us.
Oh, okay.
So it's weird because I think we said on another podcast, you know, you get the other people's information, other people's poetry, you work with them, and one of my jobs, this is Wilnona, by the way, is to make filler poetry.
It's not really filler, guys. It's still great poetry, but to make poetry match the other poetry so the book will be cohesive.
Pretty much, yeah. So the ladies we get them a theme, and they kind of write about it in the styles that they want to write, the way they want to write it, how some of it's true, some of it's not. And our job is to come up with poems, not, of course, original pieces that are for us, and then to come up with the poems that make everybody's piece cohesive and all the parts of the book make sense. So it was weird this time where you recognize there's no such thing as, for lack of a better word, the cohesive poems. It's just us. I kept waiting to open up the email and be like, oh, there it is. Alexa sent in her stuff. And I'm like, no, it's just us.
What is one of your favorite ones out of there so far?
Jade, do you have a favorite? I don't know if it's my favorite, but it makes me laugh every time I read it because, yeah, it's about me. So on the matter of the rainbow pants. It's Skittles Drought, but it starts off on the matter of the rainbow pants.
And my favorite one is about If I Were Cinderella. It's called, Life WTF.
Okay. What are the stories behind these?
Okay, so the story behind Skittles Drought is if you guys have never seen me in public, I am like 4'0", right? Short. And I'm not skinny. Not bad, but I'm not skinny, you know? So, but my mom always told me, listen, because you're short and you're not skinny, what I need you to do is never wear horizontal stripes. Well, I'm like, Mom, I am old. I am older now. I'm over 21. I'm going to do what I want to do. So I wear these rainbow pants. And like, so horizontal stripes and everything. And I'm at Wilnona and I said, Wilnona, how do I look? And like a good best friend, she looks at me. She takes a breath. You look wonderful. You look fine. Way to go. You know, like a good best friend lies straight to my face. Like, that's what good best friends do. They lie straight to your face. You can go to lunch with some dignity. They lie straight to your face. And then like 2 or 3 weeks later, Wilnona turns to me, and like a real old person, she points a phone at me. And she goes, on the matter of the rainbow pants. Now, Skittles Drought.
Skittles Drought. On the matter of the rainbow pants. Your Honor, really, must I explain any further on the matter of the rainbow pants? I'm not judging her, nor am I saying anything is wrong. I'm just asking, must I justify this any further? Just look at the rainbow pants. Your Honor, the prosecution rests.
Needless to say, I donated the rainbow pants.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you know, I mean, sometimes clothes come and go. I don't wear my parachute pants anymore. I don't have my the acid wash jeans from the 80s. I don't get to wear those anymore, you know.
I thought the acid wash jeans had come back.
I wish they would, but they're not here in Missouri anyway.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so that was Skittles drought on the matter of rainbow pants. And then when I read it, I said, oh, I told her she had to write about it, and I read it, and I was like, that was that bad. I'm glad I donated them things.
But then it makes you wonder, is there somebody out there right now wearing your rainbow pants? And then
I'm better in them than I probably ever would.
I don't think I'll ever read this one out in public because, I mean, if someone has on rainbow pants, I think we're going to have words. Or they're going to have words for me. I'm saying nothing. Be like, no, they look good on you. No, they look good on you.
Don't worry. Nobody's going to hear this. This is just between us.
I thought it was going to be on a podcast. I'm so happy.
Yeah. Oh, no, this will go in my collection. Yeah. No worries. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, how about the Cinderella?
Oh, this one is long. I should have said something else.
No.
So this originally started out as one of the cohesive poems because we wrote this book really fast. And then I was like, oh, I'm about like 4 pages short of where I need to be. So I was like, let me write something. And it turned out to be the Cinderella thing, and I kind of like it.
One of the better ones.
I don't know. Somebody else said they thought it was one of the better ones, too. You can judge. Tell me if you like it. I'm sorry. It's called Once Upon a WTF. If Cinderella had my life, the pumpkin would have still had seeds inside that dripped down from the ceiling. The dress would be radiant white on day 1 of my period. The seeds would align to make a slimy, shimmering line of beads, gunking up my natural hair in a one-time, one-day, use-only style. It would mean tearing up as the wind came whipping in through the windows that can't be shut, because a pumpkin doesn't have winder windows. The horses would see cheese in the middle of the road, and they'd be distracted. As we pulled up to the castle steps, the royal cats would hiss, and the mice would run for their lives, leaving me hanging on the slippery insides of a pumpkin door, my dress flapping in the wind, screaming, help, at the top of my lungs. My rescuer would be a man that had hands, and they would be a human toad with traveling hands, but they would be expertly cupping what ought not be touched. My glass heel would break before I got into the ballroom, but I would work it out and have a gracious limp. The prince would have to meet the curious girl with the shiny curly goo hair, but a sheen like a diamond ring with smells of pumpkin pie wafting off every inch of her. He would lead me to the dance floor and fill up my card with suave movements, and we would be connecting over improvements of his favorite childhood recipes that I could bake for him in the kitchen. My pumpkin would get a flat before they turned back to their natural states. If only Cinderella could have lived a day in my shoes. Housework would turn into yard work and light construction. My stepsisters would be mean and beautiful, and I would be the literal black sheep of the family. The prince would scour the kingdom for my stepsisters in her red-bottom shoes. I would happily live in the kitchen turning out his favorites on every meal, but I'd be writing in my spare time. I would retire to a cottage and have many tales to tell. The best-selling one would be about a pumpkin with a busted vine tire on the side of the road and me standing there in rags. When I read for the royals at their home, he would offer me a courtesan position, which I would animatedly refuse, with a backhand slap of my book to his face. 2 years later, he would ask me to be his second wife because he misses my cooking and our late-night chat over sneaked snacks in the closed kitchen. And I would turn him down and return to writing a best-selling expose about the time I almost became a princess. On second thought, I bet Cinderella would want to be me more anyway.
Well, I'm enjoying both of these so far. I mean, just like your other book, there's just so much to love.
As I was reading, I was like, I think we went a little too deep into the sadness pool right there. Because it was fun when the dress is flapping in the wind. I normally stop right there when it goes, help! I'm like, yeah, I don't want to read the rest. But I was like, oh, whatever. This is Jason. I'm going to finish for him. This is Sample Chapter Podcast. And it went downhill. Okay.
No, you did wonderful, and I really enjoyed it. And I think everybody's out there is going to agree with me. They're going to love this.
Oh, thank you, Jason. We appreciate it.
May I read one more, and then I'm going to finish. I'm going to stop reading from this book.
All right. Lay it on me. What do you got?
It's Why I Learned. And since we were talking about figuring out rest and exhaustion and learning about yourself, this is a semi-true story about learning about myself.
You know, it's fictionalized.
It's definitely fictionalized.
To keep the people that are innocent, I don't know.
I was like, who's innocent in the story?
That was fine.
It started off great. It's kind of like that Cinderella story right before that. It was great. And they went downhill from here. Okay. So Why I Learned. It was in a hotel with free cocktails. I discovered old age. Most people talk about rolling out of bed and feeling sharp pains in their back where there was an injury or there was an injury that took longer to heal. Me, it was halfway through a whiskey and soda. You see, my belly sent up a slight warning that possibly 4 roses was no longer allowed in this particular tummy. With youthful bravado, I took a gulp of the whiskey, thinking it is best to blow the door off the establishment and then kindly await for admittance. Down the esophagus, the 2-bit liquor burned, setting fire to entrails I didn't have yet. But like the maturing woman I was, I sat stock straight, continuing and merrily with dinner conversations. Bricks could have slammed into my stomach lighter, and for a quick second, when the flames kicked at its container, I wondered about the possibilities of sneaking clay into my mouth discreetly. After all, it is hailed for the medicinal uses of stopping morning sickness. This isn't the Egyptian flu. Think a bit more Irish. Yet, in the grandest of old-fashioned final stands against all odds, I lined up my troops in a row, namely bravado, youth, willpower, mood swing, desperation, and I'm not going down without a fight. And me atop my horse, sword in the air, howling a battle cry, my sagging butt and expanding waistline knew to be false ran full throttle toward old age. We are still young, was the battle cry. Forever young was the soundtrack, and we fought in the name of those who cling onto the prospects of such a mantra. Slashing back waves of indigestion with sheer willpower, the battle noises escaping in silent burps, line after line of precious, naive troops dying in cheap whiskey refueled fires. Truth scorched the earth that day. I hopped down from my mount to walk among the carnage as outwardly my feet carried me swiftly to a place I go often, but never before for this reason. Inwardly, the battle had not finished. The heat ignited, the smoke transforming into those purifying flames. There I was, scrambling, fleeing, stumbling, foot over foot, wishing, whisting, wrangling the beast to hop aboard and gallop away. My sword swing wildly with no hope of landing a fatal blow. Gallops of the hooves beneath me finally outmarched the roar of the catastrophe, and I successfully retreated. You see, my tummy lurched in my defeat and heaved. I had lost the proof, and it was flushed away. Upon my return after stopping at the gift store for some mints, I bowed my head in disgrace, snatched up my wallet, and did what every other older, more sensible person in this bar had already done from the beginning. Bartender, I sigh. May I have your top shelf scotch? It's official, I thought. I'm old.
Oh, how many times have I come to this realization myself?
It never had happened to me before because I've always been able to drink whatever. It was my first drink. I hadn't been drinking all evening. It was literally my first drink.
Of the whole
day. It was my first drink, and it was free, and they were like, all we have is 4 roses. And I went, all right, I think I could do that. I'm like, no, I know I can do that. I'm still young. I can drink rock. And I was hanging out with like a 20-year-old. 21-year-old. 21-year-old. It was not 20. It's 21. She was 21. She just turned 21. And anyway, and I'm like, she's like, I'm drinking it. And I'm like, okay, I'm drinking it too because I'm still young. It went down and my body went, you drink scotch, boo. You drink scotch. Top shelf scotch. You don't drink this. And I was like, I do not. I drink. And nope, I lost the battle, as you can tell.
See, for me, it's just the gray that keeps creeping across my temples and into my beard. And I took my wife to her favorite fast food is Culver's.
Oh, I love that place.
And last time we went, this wonderful little teenage boy looked up and saw me. Oh, hang on, sir, I almost forgot. Goes through, and next thing you know, my amount goes down a percentage. And I hand him my card. I'm like, what was that? And I look at my receipt, senior discount.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, that's a good thing, though. You
save money.
Yeah, I save money, but man, my wife, she has dined on that for a year now. And there's a new one opening in my town, so she's like, oh, I hope they honor this senior discount as well. Oh, well. So what are you all working on now?
What are we working on now?
This is Wilnona, and May, we're supposed to have a premiere of our movie. We'll see. It may happen. It may not. Hence why it's probably in May. And then we have the awards coming up, Jade.
Oh, yes. We have the awards coming up in March the 21st. So we're super excited about that. And this is so much stuff that is going on. Like, so much stuff.
We have a literary magazine, and that comes out in June. So right now we're taking submissions. Feel free to stop by our website and, fill out the contact us form, send your submission. Plug for us. There you go.
There you go. Yes. Yeah. Give me the address. I'm going to put a link in the show notes, but give us the website real quick.
Okay, so I wanted to do it before, but then I was like, oh, wait, that's not right. It's not my show. So you can stop us and see what your ladies are doing at www.andwethought.com.
Perfect. Yes. And I will definitely put a link in the show notes for that as well. So awesome, because I know there's a lot of authors that listen to the show as well.
Oh, great. And we would be happy to have your stuff. And then, of course, there's a book festival and the book awards coming up in August.
It's a virtual book festival, though, so everyone can attend. We wanted to make sure that even if you have transportation issues, you can still make it to a book festival if you wanted to, which will be online.
Beautiful.
And the awards are online as well. So, we pick a romance, a thoughtful perspective, and a thoughtful point of view book, and we award them, and they get to speak.
Wonderful. Now, what about future books? Are y'all working on any books?
This is Wilnona. I'm working on my autobiography, Ivy Climbing, but that's just about it for me. Jade, are we actually going to do that cocktail book?
Well, I think it has come on up to like the 7th burner on our 20 burner stove, so we might be able to get that out within a year.
In which case, we'll be back.
There you go. Yes, we'll have to do this every year and a half.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we can't let it go to 2, because that's just too far. I mean, too much stuff happened over on your end. Too little stuff happened on ours.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Well, ladies, as always, this has been a blast, and I just love getting to catch up with you and talk with you, and getting to talk for so long before we even got the show going. It's been so much fun. I really enjoy talking with you. Thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you for having us.
And I love the way you all talk in unison. Oh my goodness. And also, ladies, where can everybody find and follow you? I know we've got the website for the authors out there that want to submit books, but where can they find you and follow you?
Well, this is Jade, and I'm going to say that you can find everything you ladies are doing at www.andwethought.com. There you have the links to our Facebook, which is Jade Wilnona, and you can find us on Instagram at Wilnona. Go ahead and take it.
Thoughtful Ladies, and then you can find Jade on Twitter at Jade2555, and you can find me at Just Writin' Life, WRITEN Life.
Perfect. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've already had our poetry so far, so this is one of those unique shows where we're going to be closing it out from here. thank you all so much for coming in. And look for the links in the show notes coming up. Well, they're there right now. So take a look. And that was Jade Dee and Wilnona Marie, the And We Thought ladies, reading a couple of poems from their latest book, If Only I Were Me, and the Thoughtful Collections. Hey, the book is available right now at Barnes & Noble. Follow the link in the show notes for that book and for everything else that we talked about, all the other links so you can find and follow them. Don't forget to also click the links for our friends and sponsors alike, especially Podcorn. For all you podcasters out there, click that link. You won't be sorry. And hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out next week when we come back with an all-new author, a new book, and a brand new sample chapter. Take care, everybody. We'll see you again real soon.
This has been a presentation of the Project Entertainment Network.